Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for joining today. Today we are going to be discussing how to build your own purchase order system using Infowise. A real quick overview of my background. I've been working with SharePoint as an admin and developer for over 7 years now. I am a trainer here at Infowise and I train individuals and groups on the Ultimate Forms solution. As a developer, I am focused on Microsoft products, and after working with SharePoint Designer for so many years, I can tell you I was ecstatic to find something as simple and robust as Infowise. Infowise is a form solution focus. It really helps to drive user engagement by brightening up some of those dreary colors we can often see in SharePoint. We pride ourselves on making things easy. This is a no-code solution. We are always finding new, fun ways of improving the product. Ultimate Forms is available both for on-premise and Office 365. It deploys completely in the UI and will keep you from having to open the dreaded SharePoint Designer. So some real quick ground rules for our engagement today. Please go ahead and put questions into the chat interface and we will be answering those throughout as well as at the end. We are recording this and it will go on the Infowise site so you can view this as well as past webinars. This one will be posted by the end of day today. For those of us here in the US, at the end of the webinar today we will be giving a free Infowise shirt. I have one, I cherish it, so I really do recommend you sticking around for that. So let's go ahead and hop right in. Let's talk about SharePoint out of the box functionality. It cannot send emails to outside parties. This really limits our capabilities. Obviously, with something like a purchase order system, that's going to limit us since vendors do typically tend to be outside of our company. SharePoint Designer is necessary to build workflows. Most of us here are aware that, there aren't going to be any new instances of Designer past 2013, and anyone who has used it knows how cumbersome and finicky it can be, and just how painful it can be to kind of debug a workflow, going through different logs. Not fun. Infowise eliminates the need for complicated SharePoint Designer workflows. Third, relationships between lists are complicated and cumbersome to establish. Even worse than that, they are a nightmare to maintain. Alright, now that we've talked about what SharePoint is and what it's not, let's briefly talk about what makes a good purchase order system. A good PO system is easy and fast to use. When we need supplies, we don't want to have to navigate 6 layers of approvals. We want to get our invoice into the hands of our suppliers. A good PO system empowers our users. Gone are the days where only the purchasing department gets to order supplies. With Infowise, we can use advanced column permissions to send an invoice for approval based on the SharePoint group. A good PO system manages contact with our vendors. We want a system that makes our life easier, not harder. We don't want our users having to look up the address or the email of one of our vendors. A good PO system communicates with our vendors for us. A good PO system also helps to track purchase orders through to completion. If anyone here is in the purchasing or AP department, you can bet that this is the feature they are most concerned about. We want to know how many purchase orders exist and what stage they're in, and we want to know this information in real time. Alright, so then why would you want to build your own purchase order system with Infowise? Well, SharePoint and Infowise integrate well with other systems. Believe it or not, our users don't want to have to navigate 5 different systems to accomplish a task. With Infowise, we can submit a request and communicate with our vendors through our existing systems. Yay for not having to train our workforce on a new software. It's also unique to your requirements, right? When working with any third-party tool, there's always going to be some sort of feature trade-off. You pick the one that is closest to your requirements and you kind of just live with it. With Infowise, you can build the system to fit your own requirements. Do we want the purchasing department to use it, or do we want everyone to have access? Well, guess what? That's up to you. Make it as flexible as you want it to be. Don't let me forget, the number one reason is that it is super easy to set up. So let's delve into that a little bit. Alright, here you can see a simple form that a user would fill out to create a purchase order. The form is simple, yet it automates some of the more complicated tasks, such as calculating a purchase order total right here, adding tax right here, but most importantly, it establishes a relationship between our purchase order and our supplies. Infowise Advanced Column Permissions allow us to empower all of our users to enter information while giving us the flexibility to limit who can approve purchase orders to various SharePoint groups. Accounts payable and purchasing departments are already inundated with requests, and one of the worst things a system can do is send them unnecessary approvals. Luckily for us, with Infowise Advanced Column Permissions, we can stipulate that unless you are a member of the Accounts Payable group, the Send to AP checkbox defaults to yes and automatically routes it for approval. Alright, not only does Infowise make adding approvals simple, it also includes a robust signature feature. Adding signatures in out-of-the-box SharePoint either requires InfoPath or a third-party vendor such as DocuSign. Infowise Signature Column is easy to set up and offers either a handwritten or declarative signature type. The Infowise Signature also comes with some built-in business logic, which we'll talk about here in a second. If an item has already been signed, and then it is edited, the signature invalidates. It's so easy to set up that you can set it up in less than a minute. Alright, I want to show you just how easy it is to set one of these up. If I head into my purchase order list, you can see at a glance which have been signed and which have not, also who signed them, and a nice timestamp, right? You get to know just by glancing at the list. Let's go into our design screen and see just how easy it is to create one of these. Go ahead and scroll down to our configure columns section, go into the signature, and if I look up the one that I have created, you can see that I am validating the approval status with a declarative signature, making things super easy. So if the approval status after I signed it were to change, then it would invalidate. How simple is that? Infowise Smart Print Pro allows us to export the contents of our list to a PDF format seamlessly, and even keeps our relationship established. It dynamically takes our item information and populates such information such as vendor email, address, as well as listing out our individual items and their cost. Not only will Infowise Smart Print Pro save you and your team time, it has provided you an intuitive interface to make setting up a print profile as easy as 1, 2, 3. I want to take this opportunity to show you just how easy one of these is to set up. If I head back into my list, and then I head into my Infowise design screen, I'm going to scroll down to print and export. Alright, here you can see the ones that I've already created. Purchase order, invalid order. We're going to create a new one. We'll just call it new template. And then I would decide which columns I wanted to include in this. Let's just say I'm going to include these right here. And then click this. Super simple. And in fact, that's a lot of columns, so I want to add a breakpoint in there. Add, and I can move that breakpoint to any position I want. Let's do that. In display settings, I can add a header, so I'm going to probably want to put company info in here, and then in my footer I'll probably put some legal mumbo jumbo, and that's all well and good. That will export directly with our print. I also want to show you this super cool feature down here, which we'll talk about a little bit more, but you can default a template based off of some conditions, some rule-based conditions. So I'll show you that here in a second. And then really one of the coolest part of the Print Pro is that not only can you create and export a PDF, but you can email it right there from our list. So we could set up whoever we wanted. We could add users, we could use different columns, people picker columns, people from our contact list, or outside email addresses. And I'll show you just how easy that is to do here in one moment. Boom, if I hit save, new template created. That simple. You know what would be not fun? If we had an awesome button to generate a PDF and then we had to leave and attach it to an email, but not with Infowise. The real time saver is our ability to empower users to generate and send it to our supplier right from our SharePoint list. Now, by combining our print template with the associated items functionality, we can create a fully functional PO system. So real quickly, before I show you the full PO system from creation to sending, let's quickly discuss the Infowise associated items functionality. Associated items essentially changes SharePoint into a relational database. It allows us to say that these suppliers are the child of the parent PO item. Not to mention, the associated item summary column completes some of the more arduous calculations for us on the fly. By combining these, we can quickly and easily generate and send purchase orders. All right, so let's head into our list and see what it would be like to generate a purchase order. All right, so I would just click this new item right here. And then you can see the simple form that we saw earlier. I'm going to go ahead and select my vendor. In this case, I'm going to select IKEA because I want to order some furniture. All right, well, I want to order, let's say, a desk or two. Item cost about $95, and we're going to get 12 of those. Save. Now, I want you to watch what happens with our PO total column. Boom, it dynamically updates and calculates the total. What happens if I were to add something else on there? If I'm going to get a desk, I'm obviously going to need some chairs to go with that. Those are about $50, and let's get 18 of those. Save. Now it's going to go ahead and update our PO total with tax column, or our PO total, and then if I were to add some tax in there, let's say tax is 7%, you can see it automatically calculates that for us. And like I've said before, it has created a relationship between our purchase order and our supplies. Super simple. Since I am a member of the AP group, I can go ahead and change this to send to vendor and remove the send to AP button. Go ahead and sign this. Hit save. I want to show you just how easy, since this one has been approved already, it would be to send this off to our vendor, right? So I just go here, advanced, print. It's going to come up with our beautiful PDF print template that we created. Here's our information. Here is the seller's information. This all exported directly from our list. Here are the supplies that we're ordering, along with the total and the total with tax. Like I mentioned earlier, though, the real time saver is that I can just click this nice little email icon. Boom, it defaults my vendor email in here along with some text, and I'm going to go ahead and click that, send it off. It's going to let me know that that's sent here in a second. And while that is arriving, I'm going to show you what it would be like to create one if you are not a member of the AP group. All right, so new item. And this time we want to order, let's say, some servers. So we're going to go to Microsoft, and we're going to order a server. Server is about $5,000. We'll say it's 500. 3, and go ahead and hit save. Now, I'm not going to change the approval status, and I can't, in this scenario, touch the send to AP button, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. And let's see what happens. All right, so notice that I did not change the status, but since I left the send to AP button, it went ahead and updated to pending. Nice and pretty. Let's take a look at our email that we just got. Purchase order, please see and respond with the estimated time of delivery. And here is our nice, beautiful PDF that we sent. Isn't that great? Look here. This is one built by an alert that says, hey, PDF, this would be sent to our accounts payable department saying, hey, please go ahead and approve or reject this PO. What I like most about that is that it also has this nice, beautiful edit item button, so I can go directly to the item that I need to approve. Here it is, right here, saying everything I need to know, and I could easily update the status to send to vendor. Super simple, super intuitive, right? I also want to show you what would happen if someone who wanted to send this off to a vendor came in and tried to pick one that had not been approved yet, right? So we saw what would happen if we had the sent to vendor status, but what if someone came and tried to pick one that had not been submitted? Using those conditions that we saw earlier, we can say, hey, this is an invalid order and there is no print template associated with that, right? Nice, beautiful business logic. All right, back to our PowerPoint. Now that we've discussed how easy it is to create and send a PO, let's delve into what happens afterwards. With Infowise Charting Pro, we can build beautiful charts that help our users understand their information at a glance. Not to mention, this is real-time data. This allows us to show our list data as a configurable chart, control layout, background, colors, and borders. We can summarize and display our list data by category columns and colors, and we can combine and use more than one data series in a single chart. Using the Infowise associated tasks, we are establishing relationships between these lists, and by giving us the ability to combine more than one data series into a chart, you can easily represent these lists in chart format. Tracking is more than just being able to search a list. Many systems are going to require a unique identifier, right? Working with the ID column in SharePoint is almost purposefully difficult. Instead, you can easily set up an auto incrementing ID that combines field values to make a meaningful indicator. So here is the pattern we've created: a purchase order, the year that it was created, and an auto incrementing value with the pound sign. So let's take a look at what that looks like in our actual list. Here's the two we just created: PO 2018-28, PO 2018-29. Super simple. I would love to see someone do that simply and that easily in out-of-the-box SharePoint. Tracking a purchase order is incredibly important, but it is just as important that our search is flexible. With Infowise List Search web part, we can seamlessly switch between searching our PO list and our supplies list. Not just that, but you can interact with the data on the page. So if you wanted to update a record, you could do that right there. No more searching in a web part and then heading back to your list to find the same record so that you can update it. Allow management to filter reports to each employee easily. With the Infowise List Search web part, you can chain up to 5 conditions together using the AND or operator. And here's my favorite feature: save and reuse query conditions. No one wants to have to rebuild a report every time. Instead, save it, go back to it, and just let the data update behind you. Okay, so let's take a quick look at that web part. Here's our PO search. I use the simple search mode, and what that does is it searches all the columns for everything you're looking for. Here are the results. But what if I wanted to get a little bit more specific? Well, I could simply go to Advanced. It's going to show me all of the columns that come in this list. Let's say I want to search the purchase order number, and it's going to give me equals, not equals, contains, because this is a text box. What if I go to PO total? I have a few more conditions: greater than, less than, equals. Okay, well, let's just say 19, and if I hit add, here is our ability to chain conditions together using the AND or operator, and here are our columns again. Well, not just that, but didn't I say you could easily switch between lists? Purchase orders, well, let's say we want to search for a specific set of supplies. Alright, here is our supply list, here are our supply columns. I want to find all the desks that are in our system right now, okay? So if I hit search, boom, here's all of the desks in our system right now. Oh my gosh, is someone trying to order a $149 desk? That's kind of ridiculous, so I could just easily open the parent item, and it's going to open directly. I'm going to go ahead and say edit, and since that is just too expensive, I'm going to go ahead and reject this purchase order. Boom. Save. Easy, simple to use. Alright, so now that we've talked a little bit about Infowise Ultimate Forms, let's talk about SharePoint out of the box and Ultimate Forms head to head. SharePoint out of the box list relationships are cumbersome to establish and even worse to maintain. Instead, Infowise lets you set these up in minutes using the associated items content type. SharePoint out of the box, yes, it exports to Excel, but then you need to go ahead and do all those features, or filters that you set up every time, while Infowise lets you easily export items as PDF and even email them right from the browser. Not to mention, it maintains that associated items relationship that we had established, right? Talking about email, SharePoint out of the box cannot email outside of our authenticated users. Infowise lets you easily build templates to be shared outside of your organization. Out of the box, SharePoint requires SharePoint Designer to build workflows. Actions in Infowise can be built and tested directly in the UI. Honestly, the feature stack in Infowise is so robust that there is almost always a few different ways to accomplish any requirement. I want to talk briefly about some of the features that we didn't get a touch on in the demo today. All right, icons and colors. Considering how cumbersome setting up an indicator or an icon in out-of-the-box SharePoint, you will love the intuitive setup that Infowise offers. Infowise is heavily invested in the information at a glance philosophy. There are tons of different icons that you can use to tell a story. We want our users to want to use this system. Though we didn't have time to discuss it here today, the advanced filter functionality empowers our users to further drill down into the SharePoint's mountain of data. It employs 8 different filter types, including the user group picker, the current item to filter to properties of our current list item, or even pass parameters through the URL with post form values. The Event Calendar Plus is one of my favorite web parts. It allows us to combine data sources such as SharePoint lists, Exchange, as well as external databases. 8 different views are supported. Also, data sources can be colorized and categories can be filtered on. This is great for building and kind of combining a team calendar. Say you have a nice projects list with a lot of dates in it. You can add up all your team's Exchange calendars in there and then add in the project dates and kind of give everybody a nice, simple one calendar to work out of. All right, well, what about getting started with Infowise? Let's talk briefly about how someone would do that. All right, here is the Infowise screen. This is our home page. Infowise offers a 30-day fully functional trial. So if you wanted to get that, you could simply just click this button right here, fill out this form for the on-premise, and we will contact you. For Office 365, it's as simple as downloading the app and following these install instructions. Super simple stuff. All right. Well, and I also want to mention that any of our purchases come with unlimited support so that you can kind of feel comfortable that we're going to be there to make sure that you guys understand the product and are happy with it and work with it well. Also, feel free to request a live demo simply by clicking this button right here, and you'll get a nice demo walkthrough of all of our features. I also want to mention our blog. This is where we're going to update you on new and upcoming features. We're also going to let you know about any new fun ways we found of combining old features to satisfy new use cases. Also, make sure and check out our tutorials right here. These are step-by-step tutorials. They delve into individual features and really help you to kind of figure out how to solve different use cases. Each of them does have screenshots, and it's very, very step-by-step. There's little that you couldn't figure out using the Infowise tool simply by looking at these tutorials. We also offer instructor-led training. The Kickstart training comes with any purchase. It is 2 hours long. It is instructor-led, and it's going to help you to become an Infowise power user. Infowise Foundation and Infowise Advanced training are 5 hours long. An instructor will be there for you the whole time, and it's really going to get your hands dirty and show you exactly how to build an Infowise solution from beginning to end. And if you wanted to check out more about these different trainings, here is a nice chart that will show you exactly what each of these trainings offer. I also want to let you know that we are going to be at SharePoint Fest in Washington, D.C. coming up in March, and we're going to be at the SharePoint conference in Vegas come May. Please, please, please feel free to stop by our booths. We love meeting you guys and talking a little bit more. I want to finish up today by talking about our webinars. Obviously, you are all very aware that we have these webinars, but I want to show you some of the past ones that we've done. You could easily come in here and see step by step how to build an approval system, or how to build a timesheet system, or some nice training. These are great, and they really do help you to kind of understand exactly how to use Infowise to solve different use cases. All right, so we have come to the end. For those of us here in the US, we have a free t-shirt giveaway. Please go ahead and put a number into the chat box between 1 and 100, and whoever is closest to my predetermined number wins a free Infowise t-shirt. I'm going to give you all a few more seconds. All right, Jared OL, I'm sorry, I can't see the rest of your name right now. Your number was 47. My number was very close to that. Please go ahead and send me an email. My email is robertc@infowisesolutions.com. Also, you can reach out to our sales department at sales@infowisesolutions.com if you have any other questions. Jared, please go ahead and send me an email with your contact information. I'm sure you're going to love that shirt. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Any other questions that we have, we can answer after the fact. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.